Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching us today. We are at the Cloud Expo 2011. We're in Manhattan at the Jacob Javits Center. On our program today, Andrew Hillier, the CTO of Cirba. Andrew, welcome to the show. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Thanks for having me.
So, Cirba, what does your company do?
It's a provider of analytics software that really helps you plan and manage either virtual or cloud environments. So we basically bring in a broad array of data. It's almost like BI for your data center, but it understands cloud environments, understands virtual, takes all the data, brings it together, and gives you an answer on how to build clouds and how to manage them, basically.
What data does it need to analyze to be able to give you those answers?
Well, there's what we call 3 pillars of information. There's of course, the utilization data of what all the assets are doing over time, all the servers. We also look at the configuration information. And you can actually configure capacity in virtual and cloud environments. So we need to look at what the servers are, how they're configured, what's running on them from a software perspective. And we also look at the business side of the equation. So we look at who owns the asset, where is it located, change windows, what kind of application is running, anything that will affect how you treat it when you're moving into a cloud or when you're managing it. So we look at the business, technical, and utilization as the 3 areas.
Okay, now if I am a typical customer, tell me the benefits of working with your system or coming to you for help.
Well, so what it does, it gives you the maximum possible efficiency with the minimum possible risk. So what happens is once we have all the information, all the data, and we crunch on that, it's all about the policies. So when you're, for example, going to cloud, there's policies on where you should put things and where you shouldn't, and how big you make things. So we model all those policies, so when you use our product to plan a cloud, for example, you get the best possible efficiency you can get, but you still meet all the requirements of the applications.
Now, are these enterprise customers that you're talking about here?
Typically, there's a wide range of customers. Large enterprises typically have a high need for this because of the complexity of their environments, and they have a lot of business constraints. So
and they've got hybrid environment typically.
Hybrid environment. We see a lot of organizations going toward hybrid, but starting with internal.
Okay.
Starting with internal cloud, and so even with an internal cloud, where it's still within your 4 walls, it's very complex to take all the applications that are running in your organization and put them into the cloud. There's a lot of special considerations, and some of them maybe don't even go into the cloud. So we help you figure that out and understand and bite off one app at a time, figure out how you can move it into the cloud and what it should look like.
Because some applications might be very elastic over time.
Some
they
of them
might need a lot of computing power.
Yep, some of them might need certain requirements or have high I/O rates, and maybe they're not suitable to go in the cloud. Other ones, you might size them a certain way when they go in the cloud. So it's what we call a cloud factory, where we can bite off sections of an environment and say, let's analyze it onto your cloud catalog and figure out what sizes you need, what software stacks you need, what OSs you need in the cloud, and also identify the ones that maybe don't go in the cloud and say, what else should you do with those? Maybe
so
database service.
Is there, okay, can you give us a real world example of something you helped a company with where, let's say they wanted to put an app in the cloud and you dissuaded them from doing so based upon some empirical data that you discovered?
Sure. I mean, empirically, again, what we see in the data is things like high I/O rates or context switching or certain behavior that maybe doesn't work so well in a virtual environment or a cloud environment. Also, through our policies, you can model things like sensitive data or availability constraints. So you can say that application can't go into this external cloud, for example, because it has customer data on it.
Right.
So the whole thing's ruled out. So the policies that we model can express both qualitative and quantitative elements.
I see. Okay. So in terms of what you've seen in the market in the last year or two, how is it evolving and what are you seeing? Or are your customers asking you different questions? Or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've gone through a big burst of virtualization, and now we're finding in a lot of organizations that becomes the legacy environment, and now the cloud is the focus. So there'll be a new environment that's being set up as a cloud, and moving the physical and the virtual workloads into it becomes the focus. The other interesting trend we see is that there's been a big focus in clouds. People think of a cloud, they think of a request portal. You set up a self-service portal to gather the user requirements, and then you spin up an instance and you have a cloud. And we're finding that that's not the hardest part of the cloud. That's one part of it, but once you have the cloud running, getting all of the existing legacy workloads into it is a far bigger challenge. Right. I mean, it's a multi-year project sometimes. And also, when you have them all in the cloud, then managing the capacity of that cloud is also a big challenge. So making sure that all the allocations are correct, making sure that everything's in the right place, balancing it out over time. These are complex challenges that you need to take care of, otherwise you won't run efficiently.
It sounds like you're partnering with your customers over the life of the cloud.
Yeah, our software gets installed on the site, but it's almost a knowledge base of policies that they build out and we build out with them to make sure it models the environment properly And it is very much a life cycle thing. The policy has a lifespan. When you're planning an environment, there's certain policies and guidelines you use, and they have to live through the entire life of the environment.
So is it just typical Fortune class companies, or there's strong internet companies, or who are the customers that seem to be growing the fastest or working with you the most?
Well, we see a lot of folks in financial services on cloud. They seem to be kind of really pushing the envelope in some cases on what they're doing. But we have customers across almost every vertical: transportation, insurance, telcos. Of course, telcos are very far ahead as well as providers of cloud infrastructure. Sure. So we see a lot of activity there as well. We also have a lot of partners that take our product to market, some global partners that will go and use it in their customers to come up with the answers as well. So we have both a direct and an indirect path to market.
So what's next for the company?
Well, we're really seeing a lot of focus on this efficiency and risk, and we've been working on some very interesting visualizations of virtual environments and cloud environments where you can take literally thousands and thousands of elements of VMs and physicals and render them on one picture that lets you really understand what's going on in the environment. Because if you think about it, in a physical data center, there's a lot of complexity, but it's a physical complexity. But at least you can follow the wires to see what's plugged in where. Once you move it into a cloud, it might be very simple physically. It might just be one or a handful of cabinets. But what's happening inside is extremely complex.
Right.
So we're kind of bringing forward the visualization to say that you can get a very easy understanding of what's going on inside that, and very simple paradigms to make sure you're managing it properly. That's what we're working on.
Perfect. Thanks for being on the program.
Thanks for having me.